using that phrase, the dust settles there. It feels so astonishing sometimes in politics, doesn't it? That we are so often, there is such glacial change. We tend to have very long periods of single-party government in this country. Remember, we've only changed party government 3 times since 1979 before Thursday. Now it's a 4th. Add it to the roll call. 1979, 1997, 2010 and 2024. And another roll call as well. That for Keir Starmer, who has achieved an achievement which very few men, and they have all been men so far, have done. Only 7 of them, to become a Labour Prime Minister, something that this country rarely does, elect a non-Conservative leader. He can add his name to the roll call of Ramsay MacDonald, Clement Attlee, Harold Wilson, Jim Callaghan, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown and Keir Starmer. And he's done so with aplomb. 411 members of Parliament, up from barely 200 in 2019. 209 335, I should say, new Labour, new MPs overall, 209 of those being Labour. The Conservative Party reduced to a rump, reduced to only 121 members of Parliament. The Conservative Party has never been so marginal nor unimportant in the entire history of British parliamentary politics. Let that sink in. I don't think it will have done for many Conservative MPs yet, those who remain, nor potential leadership candidates. They don't matter very much anymore, at least for the next 4 to 5 years, nor also, in Westminster terms at least, to the Scottish National Party, reduced to, 10 MPs or so, barely anything by comparison to the 50 they had in the previous Parliament, dominant as they have been since 2015 at Westminster. Again, the Labour Party seeing off all before them. There are, of course, wrinkles in this victory, though, as we see the Prime Minister go off to Scotland today and then Wales as well, and of course lots of international travel to come. Wrinkles in the sense that it is a landslide which some people have called loveless, in the sense that they've achieved it on the smallest proportion of the vote in history, with the lowest turnout since 2001, the second lowest turnout since 1885. That does matter, and it does pose questions and problems for how this Labour government will govern and their political strategy going up to the next general election. But you have to say, that feels a very long way away right now. We in Britain are going to, and indeed in politics generally, are going to have to get used to something we have not experienced for a long time. A single-party government with a majority which is completely unassailable, or virtually unassailable in Parliament. That will give this government depth and stability in a way we have not seen perhaps for 2 decades, for 15 years at least. This government, Keir Starmer, can do what he wants. What will he do with it? I was going to try and answer that question on the show today. I want your views on how Keir Starmer is doing so far, what you want to see from him in the first week of the new Labour government. 0345 6060 973, 0345 6060 973, text 84850. We'll be talking to a new cabinet minister from the Labour Party. We'll be talking to the Conservative Party as well, the SNP. Everything, a smorgasbord of politics on the show today. But let's kick off with Natasha Clark, LBC political editor, who of course has been, like myself, following every twist and turn of this election. We're still here, Natasha. Just about.
We're still standing.
We're still standing, unlike the Conservative Party. No. Bad joke.
Too soon,
yeah. So Natasha was saying, dust is settled, new Prime Minister in office, and he's had a busy start, hasn't he?
He has, and, out, to be fair to him, out in front of the press, answering every single question at that press conference yesterday. He's obviously been appointing his new cabinet, and we should expect more of that today. He's also doing this Four Nations tour. Labour, as soon as they knew that they had won and were on the way into Downing Street, were very keen to press to us journalists that this is not just a win for England, but also for Scotland and Wales as well. He wants to be that Prime Minister of all 4 nations, so he's going to be visiting that all in the next 24 hours, we're told.
Also, he said something slightly odd, I thought, at his press yesterday, when he said he'd received a mandate from all 4 nations, despite the fact that, of course, Labour Party doesn't stand.
Exactly, just the 3. But yes,
don't get too ahead of yourself here.
Next time, though, 2029, Labour Party could be taking that too. But look, yes, he's very keen to make it that he is the Prime Minister, and he's got that mandate, despite obviously what you said about the lowest turnout, lower vote share. He wants to be clear that his mandate, 180 seat majority, is his across the United Kingdom. And obviously now it is for him to set out what he's going to do with it. We obviously have had those 6 steps is the shape of that policy. But in the next few days, we hope and we expect to see from him a bit more about the flesh on the bones. And I think we will see a little bit of that this week, going into it with obviously his first international foreign trips as well. He's going to go to NATO next week. We're going to be hearing more about defence spending. We're going to be hearing more about when that 2.5% of defence spending is going to be met. He's obviously going to have to order that review that he long promised. And of course, the economy, he's said that that's going to be the foremost, growing the economy is going to be the number one mission for this Labour government. I expect we'll hear more from Rachel Reeves in the coming hours and days about exactly how she is going to start growing the economy again.
The critique about low turnout and a seat distribution, or a vote distribution, I should say, which was sort of wide but not deep. I mean, how fair do you think that criticism is, and how much do you think it actually bothers the new Labour government?
If you've got a 180-seat Labour majority, Lewis, would you be bothered about that at all?
Well,
I don't think so. I think for now, they are literally now focused on the job that is just in front of them. Yes. I think for later on, for sure, it's a back of the mind thought, as will be the fact that Reform came second in so many seats. I think 89 Labour seats they came second in. That will be a thought for later on when they're thinking about the next 5 years. But for now, it is just getting on with the job in front of them and the things that they need to do. But having that huge majority, I don't think it's going to be a foremost in their mind, thinking, oh, our vote share was quite shallow. Oh, what are we going to do next time? They know that they've not got very long to prove themselves, to get out there, to do the things that they said they would, or else risking a huge damage in trust in democracy. Because if people can't start to see this change immediately, there will be a huge lack of trust in the government, in our democratic system, and they know they need to get on with it.
And there is no hiding place now, right? I mean, I was saying just now, we've not had a government for a long time. People talked about Boris Johnson's massive majority. I mean, it was a big majority. It was 80, but it wasn't.
We're not got an extra 100.
Yeah, but it wasn't unassailable. You only needed 40 Tory MPs to rebel, and we saw that a few times in the last Parliament. I mean, there's almost no prospect of the government losing any vote with a majority like that. It would have to be something incredibly controversial within the Labour Party itself.
And remember, obviously, Starmer, put all these candidates up in his own image. They are mostly Starmer.
They want jobs. They want jobs. Most of them, they're not going to be mavericks to begin with, at least anyway. My point is that there's no hiding place. It's now all Starmer. And yes, he's going to talk a lot about his inheritance. He's going to say it's a mess. He's doubtless they're going to say it was even worse than we thought, and so on. But ultimately, the buck stops with him now, and there's no excuses in parliamentary terms.
Exactly. He's now really just got to get on with all of the things that he said he was going to do. And I think, obviously, we had a lot of criticism from him in the campaign, not least from the Conservatives, but also from voters. We're not sure what Keir Starmer is exactly going to do. He now needs to set that out, and he needs to set that out very clearly. But equally, he does need to just literally get on with it. He's now got the majority to do it. He has got a mandate. It doesn't matter how shallow or deep it is. He has got that mandate. He's got those MPs. Yep. Will he face pressure from Reform? Of course he will. Will he face pressure from the Liberal Democrats?
And Farage will be in Parliament. I mean, I think we probably underestimate that. He was able to make great hay in the European Parliament. He's very good at using parliamentary procedure, of using the kind of the bear pit of a parliament that he's sat in. He'll get those clips. He'll be attacking Starmer on immigration every time he gets up in Prime Minister's questions, whenever he can get a question in.
Yeah, I think immigration was one of the things that was coming out from as soon as that exit poll came out, and we saw, obviously it turned out to be slightly inaccurate on the Reform side. 13 Reform MPs, we've got 5. That was the first thing I think a lot of us were thinking, right? What does this mean for Keir Starmer's immigration policy, which we know at best is a slightly different version of what the Conservatives are already doing with their Border Command Security Unit.
And they've scrapped Rwanda.
And they have effectively scrapped Rwanda. Keir Starmer confirmed that at his press conference yesterday. He said it's already dead and gone before the election was even held. But what does that mean in practice? Has he told all of his civil servants to stop working on that? Of course. So the flights won't take off, of course. But what does that mean for...
What a deal for Rwanda, what they've had. They've bagged the money and run.
Well, actually, Yvette Cooper a few months ago told us that they were going to be asking for a refund. So
good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
But also, what does it mean for the Bibi Stockholm? What does it mean for the Illegal Migration Act, which is still in place? People are still being detained at the moment. Are they going to be let go? Are they going to be looked at all of the cases again, which is what they've said? There's lots of unanswered questions.
And Tony Blair advising him this morning that he's got to get a grip on immigration in the Sunday Times.
Exactly. I think that is going to be a big headache for them. But equally, it is probably not going to be the biggest headache for them.
There's plenty of others.
Not least the NHS, which obviously Wes Streeting is now going to be tasked with trying to fix. Him admitting just 2 days ago it is broken. He is going to have a huge job on his hands. And obviously Labour, the party of the NHS, they are going to be probably known for what they do on the NHS and how fast they can really show progress there.